Hi, guys. I'm so excited to welcome you to episode number 11. And I can't believe that my friend here, I know that she's an 11 girl. I know that she's a spiritual girl. And I'm so excited to have my friend Loren Lahav here tonight to chat with you. She's been a huge mentor to me. And I've always looked up to Loren. I want to be Loren when I grow up. And I wanted to. What's that?
Other than you are taller than me.
Oh, well, not that much, just a little bit.
Anyway.
But I wanted to come on. You're a little bit delayed. Are we caught up now?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. So I just wanted to have Loren come on tonight and have just a girl talk about how important it is to be true to yourself and in every area of your life. And I think that a lot of people are at home kind of figuring out what's true about their life and what's true about their relationships and what's true about their career. And I think a lot of people are having so what, now what moments. And I think Loren is a really great example of someone who's had plenty of so what, now what moments and pivoted and always comes out on top and, has been through a lot herself. And I'm just really excited to have you here with me.
Hey, I am an 11. I am an 11. That is my number.
I figured. I mean, both my older kids are born on the 11th. I see 11 everywhere. 11 is my thing. It's my jam. But so I want to start out the conversation, Loren. If you can think of a moment, a so what, now what moment that you want to share with people where you had a point where you needed to like refocus, pivot, like had a come to Jesus moment with yourself. And you had to know that what you're doing isn't working and it's time to pivot towards something else and create, a different plan, a different space.
Gosh, there's so many. I talk about real quick that just comes to me that's very relevant that not just this past weekend. I don't know if you remember it all set up. I had Bat Mitzvah all planned, guest list done. We had RSVPs, the table settings, all the everything. And then this virus thing happened. And I went, so what? Now what? What am I going to do now? And I had my life pivots, honestly. I feel like I'm on a constant pivot, which has helped me so much. The first moment was when I graduated from college, the University of Georgia, and I was a journalism major. And
I was too. I didn't know that.
See, we're so much alike. And CNN, it was when CNN was first starting off, and they would actually come to you. We went. Remember going, everybody thought that I was going to move to Atlanta and like get a job and work as a broadcast journalist and do this and blah, blah, blah. And I remember for the interview at the CNN building and sitting there, and I went and I kind of thought about what do I really want long-term. That wasn't it. And I remember turning down the job, and everybody was just kind of like, what? You just turned down a job of the network, this, like I said, this is 1987. And I remember just everybody was pretty disappointed in me, my parents especially. And I went and really had that, that moment. And I was like, you know what? I've worked off in school. I think I'm going to go move to Colorado and be a doctorate of waitressing in Colorado. Right. And because I never had a sense of freedom, I was always making sure to living everybody else's dreams, doing what they wanted to do. I know someone like this, being a pleaser, I do to make everybody happy. I'm like, I make me happy. And that's really where I had to discover who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world.
Well, and that sounds a lot like this whole be true to yourself. I mean, that was definitely a moment where you were true to yourself and not doing what you thought other people wanted you to do.
Right. That whole true kind of the question I was asking is if I do this, whatever this is, am I staying true to myself? That's kind of, so I had another really, I'm trying to think of another really pivotal moment I do not talk about very often, but it happened to me when we were living in Fiji, and my friend called me, and she calls me back when really when TV, when everybody was watching afternoon shows like Oprah and Dial, and when network TV was so big. And
Yeah.
she called me and she goes, "Look, you're about to get a really big call, and do not screw this up." And she goes, "I'm telling you, you're on the short list. Don't mess this up right now." And I'm like, okay, I hear you. And I'll never forget being in this little office in Fiji. Like I said, we had just started teaching life mastery, and I'm not going to mention the shows or anything, but the producer called me and she goes, "Hey, we really love your book. It's being passed around the office. Everybody loves your book. And we want you to do a show about how to get your husband to do more around the house."
What?
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to so screw this up. I was like,
have they met you?
Right. Me. And I remember taking a big deep breath, and I go, and I hear my friend in the background, and I'm sure she's watching this video right now, so I'm careful with who I talk about and everything. But I'm, hey, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up, Loren. And I remember taking a big deep breath and asking myself the question, if I say yes to this, am I staying true to myself? Because it would have been a huge opportunity. I mean, huge. But it wasn't true to me. And I think so many times we sell out because we're like, I want this to happen yesterday, right? I think that because I've been this, it should happen right now. And I remember taking that big deep breath and go, girl, I'm not your girl. And that was this freeing moment for me of because I said, this isn't how I want to be seen in the world. So that was a big, and I'm glad I didn't, I'm glad, because it would have been a sprint. For me, it would have been a nice little sprint, but it wouldn't have been a marathon. I mean, I know, like you, we don't want to just, and I love the way you said, I don't know where this show is going. Of course, we don't know where any of these things are going. But if you could change one life, which I know you have, through this, it'd be worth it, right? And I think we don't take the time to think about all those little wins that we have, and how, God is pulling us to do this. So obviously there was a pull in you. But those were big moments.
It's interesting. One of the things that I've learned recently, or noticed about myself, is I am really big urgency girl. Everything has to happen right now for me. And one of the things that I've learned in this time frame is to sit with things. And I am really not good at that.
Yeah.
And I know how that's gotten in my way in the past, because I think that when I am too attached to the urgency of something or the outcome of something, I make emotional decisions without logic. My mom always said that when my sister was born, she took all the logic and left me all the emotion. So the decisions I've made in my life have really been, more emotional reactions instead of, thought out logical responses to things. So one of the things, you said you took a deep breath and you just kind of sat with it for a second, and what's true for you? And I think that's a really great question. Is this true for me? We were talking before we went on about all the things that we're not doing now. We're not doing, we're getting our hair done. We're not getting our lashes done. We're not going to restaurants. We're not doing but we're kind of evaluating, what are we going to do when this is over?
Right. And I think oh, go ahead. I apologize.
No.
No, I think that, lots of times Jim Rohn and, Tony Robbins, a lot of people, I think the first time I heard it was Jim Rohn talking about the seasons and, talking about winter, and that we're in winter, but winter is that time to really reflect, right? Mm-hmm. Reflect. And I think there's any gift that you can give yourself during this time is to reflect. And I did a podcast today with a guy named Oz Garcia, who's unbelievable. He has been the nutritionist to the stars. I've known him 25 years. And I asked him, what's the one thing that you do to stay true to yourself? Because it's the last question I ask people, before the interview's over. And he said, Loren, he goes, I start every morning with 5 minutes of gratitude, literally. And I end with 5 minutes of gratitude. And we hear that all the time, but then you hear, and he goes, Loren, it changed my life because it helps me be more mindful of how I set up the day. Or you listen to Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor, if you ever listen to any of his teachings, which I would also encourage everybody to listen to, who is just, he's the best. He's like 84 years old, and just talk about walking, living, breathing what he teaches. He's kept, I think he's done a gratitude journal forever. Yeah. And every day he does that. And I mean, if people really live that, so I think reflecting and, and resetting and reevaluating. Like, so really think about, what are some of the things that you can reflect on that have been amazing? And then just going, okay, what are my, and we hear this talk about a lot, but I think we've got to really take it in of what really are your top 3 values. Like, so for me, and the reason I get, and I'm sure you do too, I get lots of requests for people, saying, hey, will you come on and do something? And I go, okay, if I say yes to doing this, this interview, am I staying true to myself? So that's one of my top values once again. So really looking at that, because it helps you when you're really staying true to your values, you're make more mindful decisions. And when we're mindful, we make better choices, right? Like if we're mindful, we'll pick up the wheatgrass versus, I don't know. For me, I think sweet tea is a mindful decision, but but we make better decisions. And I've loved like the Mel Robbins, like you said, like taking a deep breath. I realize that I've always done that. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when I usually don't do that, I don't make a good decision. Lots of times when I react to situations. But I mean, I think also we have to be kinder to ourselves. We're tough on ourselves. You're an amazing freaking mama. I mean, you take such good care of your health. I'm always so inspired by you when I watch you. I see like who you are, and every time around you, I'm kind of like I want to go and just like hang out and not get in trouble for us just hanging out and talking. And so I think the one thing that I would say is be kinder to yourself, because I know that we want it yesterday. We do. But we also want the lessons that we're going to learn along the way too.
Right. And I think that sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I'm not getting the lesson. And I think that that's been a big, just a really big place for me to reflect and just kind of take a deep breath and slow down. Because it's busy to be a single mom of 3 kids. And, now I'm not so single in that effort. I definitely have an amazing partner in my life who's it's like I can't even be more grateful for. So, but I think one of the things I encourage people to do in this moment is say yes to things you've said no to. Open your heart and your mind to opportunities that have come across your plate, or you're knocked when opportunities knocked and you said no. I mean, how many people are out of work right now? Millions and millions and millions. And what would you say to a mom or someone who's always wanted to start their own business? How do they evaluate these opportunities, Loren?
Great question. I think once again, both of us, I think, one, you have to, once again, look at your values, what really matters most for you. So for me, I think that one thing I'm so grateful that I said yes to is really looking at like, are the people that, I don't know. I think there's different ways. Are you talking about like, I think that one, I love community. I love community. I love people, I love that feeling of being with people that have hustle and heart, right? That they've got both. They've got the hustle and the heart. I love to work with people that they're all about giving back. Like I was just talking to a girl who was asking me to do something with the Speakers Bureau. And I said, I just want to make sure that you make sure people know that 10% of whatever I do is speaking donate, right? So I think you've got to look for, once again, opportunities that really resonate with your values. I think also like people, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here is really look if it's something that has to do with leadership, the people, are they really walking the talk, or are there people that are just kind of sitting back and, counting their cash or doing whatever? Like, are they still in the game? Right. But I don't know. I'll tell you something. I think that you have to also figure out, is it something Tony talks about this a lot. When we're a business mastery, I think that was the last time we actually saw each other was at business mastery.
Yeah.
And we saw so many people that were looking for ways to get out of their businesses. Right. I think that our ego gets in the way sometimes going, well, I need to have like my business, like my whatever. I actually love working with people that I like plugging into a system that already works, right?
Yeah.
Where I could be an entrepreneur, but without having to deal with all the like payroll, all the other like overhead that happens. I think that people really they discount so many great opportunities to work from home and plug into systems, that work. I really do. I think that there are too many great opportunities right now to already plug into a system, and you can still have your identity. It doesn't mean like you lose your identity. Everybody's going to do it a different way. But,
and I think a lot of times people, I mean, I definitely, ego, like, what are people going to think?
Yes.
Like, if I do this, what are people going to think? And it doesn't really matter what it is. I don't care if it's starting your own cosmetic company. I don't care if it's starting a dog walking company, joining a network marketing company. I don't, this is one of the things that Jason Cisneros told this story. And this resonated with me. I guess Tony asked him, maybe it was Tony, maybe it wasn't, but someone asked Jason a question like, so you think people are care what you do? Like, you think people are, thinking about you? Or you care what people think? And he said, who's the person that loves you the most in the world? And Jason was like, probably my mom. And Tony was like, well, what is your mom doing right now? He's like, oh, well, it's Tuesday night at 5. She's probably with her girlfriends playing bridge. And Tony's like, so let me get this straight. The woman that loves you the most in this world right now is playing bridge with her girlfriends. Do you think she's thinking about you? No. Yeah, people aren't thinking about you, folks. They're thinking about themselves, and they're thinking about everyone's focused on whether the people think about them. But the truth is that everyone's focused on the same thing. They're not thinking about you. So live your dream, dream your dream.
I wasted so much time worrying about what people were going to think of me. Like, I just can't even tell you. I mean, like, if there was one do-over that I would look at in my life, it was just put on my blinders. I love what Gary Vee says. He says, I don't care if you like love me or hate me. It doesn't really matter what you think of me. He goes, I just, put in my earplugs. I don't even hear the good. I don't hear the bad. I just like put the earplugs in and I just keep moving forward with regards to it. And I really decided to take that to heart. My friend Philip, he's pretty much my business mentor for me. We've been friends for 14 years. He kicks my butt. And, I really respect him a lot because he walks his talk, but he said to me, he goes, Loren, I'm going to give you some advice that some very big, well-known people gave him. And he goes, but I'm kind of nervous to tell you what the advice. I'm like, why would you be nervous to tell me what so-and-so and so-and-so said?
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. And he goes, here's the advice. He goes, you need to be okay with more haters.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Literally what he said to me. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? And I'm like, we can say, well, I really don't care, what people think. But like you said, we want to make people happy. We want to do it. But I feel that if I'm not losing my, if I'm not living my truth and then I start to sell out, you look at the archetypes, right? I know that Carolyn Meese talks a lot about the archetypes, and she talks about the lover, the magician, the sovereign, the warrior, and the prostitute. And those were the 5 that we would talk about. And I know, like you and me, we like love people. We want to love them, and we want to take care of them, and we want to hug them, and we want them to learn, and they want to grow, right? And then the war, and then there's the magician. Oh, we can make that happen. Oh, I can make this happen. Blah blah. And we're making all this magic happen, right? But I don't know about you, especially when I went through my divorce as well. With 3 kids, I was like the lover all the time, giving everybody that. And I'm like, I have to step into more of my warrior with my time, with my money, and all this part of me that was this identity of this lover magician. I hope this is making sense, but I think that it will for people, is that I was like, wait a minute, but I need to be the warrior. I've got kids to send to college. I got to get cars. I've got to pay the gas. I got to pay the bills. I got to do this. So I had to stop being all the lover all the time and step into more of my warrior to protect. And then I had to step into that sovereign of like the queen. I'm like, yeah, I got this. Because I don't know about you, but I had lots of on my knees moments. I'm like, please, God, like, please, like, get me right.
And I remember literally one time laying on the floor next to my bed in the fetal position, like, how the fuck am I going to pull this off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, not knowing where the next, payment to this or that was going to come from. But I knew, I think one of the beliefs that I know in my like soul is that no matter what, everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's going to be okay. And those are the so what now what moments where you're on your knees and you're like, hands up.
Yeah.
I got nothing. Jesus, take the wheel.
Right. And it's kind of like that that's where like they talk about that fear and faith can't be, you either have the fear or the faith, and you've got to really plug in to that. Once a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to go hear Bear Grylls speak, and Bear Grylls talked about, like, I'm just like you. He goes, if you see me the most of the time, he goes, I'd like to just be sitting on the couch with my kids. He goes, whenever I do anything, I'm still scared, He goes, and I think it's important for people to remember that. He goes, when I decided to climb Mount Everest, I didn't go, yay, let's go climb Mount Everest and think that it was going to be easy, And he said, I knew that there were parts, I knew that I could die on that mountain. I knew. Right. He goes, I knew that there were parts that the training was going to be difficult. He said, but here's the truth. Every single one of us have an Everest, right? And he goes, but it's almost like, Kabbalah says that, you're either adding light to the world or adding darkness to the world. So, but there's got to be a little bit of darkness so the light can come through. So we need these moments. I hate to say that, but we need these moments for us to remember what is really important, what is going to light things back up again, right? So that you can do like, oh man, I was kind of not really present to that. Oh, maybe this is more important to me now. So I don't know. I'm just so humbled by all the amazing experiences that we've had and the tools that we've had to help get us through these times, Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that I take for granted is the fact that I have had 18 years of being a part of, personal development and Tony's team. And there's so many things that you and I know in our bodies now that people don't know. And that's part of the reason I wanted to do this is because I don't know what people don't know, because I take for granted the things that I know and the tools that I use because they're just kind of in my body now. They're just in my system, which is, the so what now what is in me. Like when that is just something that comes up for me, whether it's, traffic or something, when we're traveling and, I lost my luggage in LA and on my way to Australia, like, okay, so what now? What am I going to do? I'm going to Venice Beach and I'm going to buy a dress. I'm going to sit there and find a bar because what else can I do?
Right. And you have fun with it though, too. You didn't be like, I think the thing that what's beautiful about it is that you go, okay. And then you went and you go, okay, what you were saying to yourself was, okay, what could be great about this? What am I going to learn? Who am I going to meet? What am I going to experience? And I think if people put more fun and adventure back into it versus like, this is horrible. This is, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. And I don't mean to be a, like super, positive you have a choice. I think that's what people have to realize too, is that they really do have choices. I mean, the one thing that's kept me grounded all these years, no matter when I was a little girl, I think the biggest thing for me that's kept me grounded is really going like, how do I really want to show up in the world? I really have always like, since I was a tiny, tiny little girl, I've always been like, okay, I always want to give. I want to, I want to be known as somebody who's a philanthropist. I want to be known for someone who fights for the underdog. I want to be known as someone who gives, who has a great work ethic, who I've always been that way. And I think it's a great time really for people to reevaluate how do you really want to be seen in the world, and not for anybody other than you. Right. There's a great quote by Irma Bombeck, and it says, at the end of my life, I'll hope that God, I'll just slide on into heaven, because I want God to know that he used every bit of talent that he gave me. Right. And I think that when for those people who, I don't know, especially mamas out there, it's our job to give our kids roots, they say, but it's also our job to give them wings to fly. And I remember when Joss was little, and he was doing an interview for GYLS, and I heard them ask a question, and then he says, my mom, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's he saying? And he said, because she does what she says she's going to do. And I think that we need to be the heroes that our kids seek in the world. And so finding that passion, or saying yes to some of those things, like what you just said, saying yes to some of those things that you've said no to, really ask, I didn't know in the past. And, why do I need to reevaluate and look at make a gift from it? Like, I don't know if I wouldn't have said yes to some of the things that I've said recently, I don't know where I'd be right now, because of, just like what I've been able to say yes to in my life, right? Like getting my kids back from New York. I'm like, get home, get here. There's a house for you. I had a house that I could get my kids here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was like in tears watching you ask like for a plane.
That was hard.
I mean, did you get the plane?
No, they ended up driving. They ended up driving, but some people offered, some of those people, that person. And they, people were offering to do things. I mean, but some people, it was very interesting. Some people, because I could have listened to the other people, you would have been shocked about some people, like they're in their 20s, they'll be fine, they'll be resilient, let them like learn these lessons. And I was like, okay. And I started looking, and I'm like, well, first of all, I was looking like, are those people parents or not? I started looking at that, or do they have kids that are these kids, my kids' age? And then I was like, and then I started asking, I asked myself the question again, if I do this, am I staying true to myself? If I say, just stay there in New York, and I'm like, no, because Danielle's got family, her parents, how do they know? They're in the UK. As a mom and a grandmother. And the coolest thing was, 2 days after they got here, I got a text from Danielle's grandmother, and it was, thank you so much for, having the kids come out there. So once again, if there's any question you ask yourself, maybe that becomes your question. But the thing that's got me through all of these times is really my morning rituals. I got to say, I don't think that I could without and I'm not talking hours. I just have simple little things that I do to remind myself that I've got this.
What do you do? Tell us what you do, Loren.
Well, so the first thing I wake up in the morning and I say, today's going to be the best day of my life again. And I pre-assume the day is going to be awesome. And I look, and then I like rip open this whatever thing, and I open it, and I look out, and I look at the red rocks, and I'm like, yes, thank you, God. And I look at, and I appreciate something in nature. That's very important for me. Then I go there, and my friend on my 50th birthday, she gave me the most beautiful gift. It's 50 things that she loves about me, right? She says, your electric smile, your belief in people, fighting for the underdog, your crazy, sparkly boots, and all those things.
Your bracelets.
My bracelets. She always like, these are my quarantine bracelets. Did anybody guess?
Yeah, she's doing one bracelet for every day in quarantine. Hopefully we're out of here soon so she can continue to move her arms.
So I do that, and then I look over, and my bathroom's crazy, but I look, and I do my kettlebell, and I'm like, do all my I am statements. I'm loving, I'm passionate, I'm compassionate, I'm kick-ass, I'm full of faith, I'm God's girl, I'm Tomb Raider type, I'm a sexy salsa dancer, I'm hilarious, and I'll just do those things, and I really get myself. And then I look at my manifestation board, and I go, how do I really want to show up in the world, in my finances, in my identity, in my relationships, and I'm like, I got that premium fuel. I don't let those things slide. Right? Like it's just part of who I am. And sure, and I'll go, and I'll take we were talking today about, meditation can look so different in so many different ways. Like some people meditate when they do a run. That could be, someone could be running and meditating. That's how my husband does it.
That happens for me, for sure. Yeah.
Right. For me, it's taking a walk. I went and just did a walk and just feeling the sun. So I think that being, like I said, be kinder to yourself about how you do things. So that's, I go and I have my lemon water, and I go and I sit outside for 5 minutes, and I just really think about how blessed I really am. But that's always been my routine. And yeah, so but you can start anyway,
I
anytime.
wanted to
Start
say
small.
hi.
Hi, Vinu. Love Vinu. We got some good girlfriends. There's a good girlfriend who really helped me. And Vinu was a great role model for me for young men, a mom of a single. Oh, you love her, you don't love me?
She said, love you, Loren. That's what that said. Loren.
Oh.
Here we go. Here you go. Look.
Okay, we both got the love.
We got both love.
Being a smart ass. But Vina was a great role model. Honestly, she was seeing her when she was single with her 2 boys. And I was like, she was a great friend to me to see what was possible with the road ahead with having 2 boys. And anyway, she's been a great friend. She's the same birthday as Quinn. So she'd love that. We love each other so much. And even though we don't see each other.
Yeah. I know. You know what? It's crazy to me that we have all these really tight girlfriend friendships, and we don't even see each other or talk to each other that often. But when we are like I don't feel like it's been a year and a half or 2 years since I've seen you.
Yep.
And yep. I think it's just, I feel so blessed to have all these amazing women in my life. Because I mean, quite frankly, one of the things that I went through in my divorce was I lost a lot of friends. A lot of people turned their back on me. That was their opinion. That's whatever. It's fine. But what I sometimes forget, because y'all are not in my face and you're not, we're not going to have lunch, that I have so many amazing women in my life. And I'm so grateful for all of you. So it's just.
And I think that's what, like you said, the whole quote that, that when you're around something enough, you tend to take it a little bit for granted. And, I do a big thing for me is I want to make sure to always remember people's birthdays. Like that's been my thing. And I was going through and making a list. I'm trying to find it here. And I was going through and I was going through first of all, my Facebook people. And I was thinking, okay, who am I going to send presents to? And do I know that person? And do I this and that? And I was looking month by month and just I was just going to show you here. Here's just 1 month. And I'm no, those are people I really want to send something to. It's people I really know. No, those are people I really like. And I think that if everybody just stop for a second and pick 20 people and write down what you really love about that person. What are the qualities that you love about them? And I love getting even before, we did this, I was what is it that I really love about you? And I made sure that I didn't just jump on this call. I was what do I really love about her? I'm she's an amazing mama, that how she made sure that her daughter stayed in the game and was disciplined about doing all of those, gymnastic things, traveling around the world, doing all of these things, blah, blah, blah. And I'm and being on the road and coaching and this and that. And I thought about it and I filled me up and I was heck yeah, man, we're going to have a rocking time here. So yeah, I think people need to just pause for a second, take inventory, really take inventory of the people that you have in your life, of the people that, really matter to you, what activities really matter to you, we talked about, all those things that we're going to go back and do, and give it a hard reset right now, Yeah. But then I would say also make sure you get off your ass and go do something, because
there's Goya.
Yeah, Goya, get off your ass, because I'm kind of fire ready. I just I do stuff, and sometimes it's not always pretty, sometimes might not work out, but at least I took the action. And I people that it's ready, and then by the time there's hello, big project that I really wanted to do sometime. So I would say really just be brave.
Yeah, for sure.
Be brave. Just go do it, and ask if I do this, am I staying true to myself? And so, yeah. I don't know.
And I think it's one of the things I think is really important. And I don't think we do it enough. I don't think women lift women up enough.
No. Well, they say 80, what is it? 85, 90% of the bullying and harassment in the marketplace is woman to woman. That's why we have to be that change. Collaboration with women is so much more fun. I believe, and that's what drives me. I feel like I like to be the kind of the wind underneath everybody's capes. Like I'd rather say, fly, friend, fly, fly, and how can I do that? I think that's why so many of us love coaching, but I think that the important thing is to also make sure that we're lifting each other up, but we're not using it to hide in us not taking action. Does that make sense? That's why, honestly, I think that's why things like what's so great about, you talked about different businesses that people can get into, or as an entrepreneur. I do think that's why, you and I know Eric and Marina Roy really well. I've gotten to know, there's so many women in different, network marketing companies that they all support each other too. It's cool. Right. And I think that's what's beautiful is because everybody wins in that way too. But that's just one example. It happens in so many in other companies. So look for or join groups, that support each other, where women are really supporting each other. There's lots of mom organizations out there, or just, Facebook groups. There's so many great Facebook groups where you can just find some like-minded people. But
and I just think it's important to be kind. Just be kind, because you never know what someone's going through in that day.
Years ago when Tony first came out with his book, Awaken the Giant Within. So I don't even know how long ago that was, longer than that, 27 years ago. And I remember we walked into a meeting where they handed everybody a book, and the guy who was I think he was the CEO of the company back then. And everybody thought he was just shy and quiet, just went into his office. His name was Alan Hahn. And he said, whenever you make an assumption about something, ask yourself this question. And that question is, maybe there's something I don't know. And it turned out his son had passed away and none of us knew it. Right. And so I think that, like you said, be kind. The lady actually who started the whole Be Kind campaign. I don't know if you know this, or I don't know how long we have, but maybe if we have 2 minutes, I'll just tell this real quick.
That's fine.
My mom is awesome. My mom, I don't know if you've ever met my mom, but she's really the best.
In my neck of the woods, isn't she out here?
Yeah, she's there. She's there now, near my brother. But she was here in Vegas when we moved here, and she went to Whole Foods. She was in the parking lot, and she saw this woman. And she goes up to the woman. She goes, I just have to tell you, you have the most beautiful body that I've ever seen. And the lady starts bawling her eyes out and collapses into my mom's arms. And she goes, I can't tell you how much that meant to me, because my son passed away a couple months ago. And she handed my mom this little card. It was kind of about this big, and it had these 3 little mountains on it. And it said, be kind. And it said I forgot the boy's name. And so anyway, my mom brought it to my house, and it had this red bow on it. My mom goes, this is something you would like. This is a creative thing.
Up your alley.
Yeah. And so let's just take this. So she hands it to me, and I'm like, Mom, did you read this? She goes, no, I just thought it was something cute that you would like. You're all into marketing things. So I look at it, and it turned out on the inside was a gift card from Cold Stone. And it was like I said, her son had passed away in a very freak accident. And it's called the Josh Stevens Foundation, the Be Kind Foundation. Mm-hmm. And she started it for him. And it was for the valet guys. When people were nice to the valet guys, that the valet guys would give it to the people as a thank you for being nice. And they'd give this gift card to people.
Oh, wow.
Well, the Be Kind campaign is now all over the world. It's in 4 countries. They're at schools. Kids can earn Be Kind bracelets, it's just like, she talked about someone who said, okay, now what are we going to do? right? She
Yeah.
took one of the worst experiences and turned it into the most beautiful experience all over the world. But, you know, I just think about, like you said, being kind. Of my mom's always been such a great example of that for me, of getting curious, finding out what's going on in people, because you never know what happened 5 minutes ago, you know,
Right.
2 minutes ago.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, Loren, I'm so grateful for you to be here. I miss you.
I miss
And
you too.
I can't wait till we can all rendezvous again
I know.
somewhere.
I know. Well,
But
please, please, please give your family my love, and
I
thank you
will.
for having me. And be kind, stay true, and I will see you very soon.
And you kiss your Asher and I'll kiss my Asher. All right, stay
Absolutely.
on with me, Loren.
Okay.